What's up, guys? It's Spoot from Fort Misery Gaming. Today we are going to be doing a little bit of the, what would I call this? I guess sort of hero tier stuff. So, we know Diluc is, first and foremost probably the premier DPS in the game right now, mostly because of how he can work with other characters pretty effectively. So I'm going to go into some of the abysses, kind of at moderate level. I'm only in like the 40s for most of these people, and sort of show you guys why he can do what he does. Even to pyro strong enemies, you have options of just dealing with them. So beep beep boop. Elemental Mastery's fine. So just to get some swings out here, the big reason our boy Diluc here is so good is that while he is a great sword user, he has cancel animations. So instead of being stuck in a very long animation-heavy combo, you have ways of getting around it. So here's what we'll do. We don't get to swap right off the rip. So we will start with Zhongling, use her L, use Oz from Fischl, and then use Firebird. You're pretty much guaranteed overloaded at this point. And always remember that you can dash through regular hits. Like, that is such a huge thing that I don't see a lot of people talking about. So if you get stuck in an animation that you don't want to be in or you're trying to hit, remember that dash always carries you through it. And I'll show you guys my equipment after this. I am not a particularly well put together Diluc. I do not have the big hits, so to speak. Let me see if it'll actually, let me look at his equips. I think you have to do it outside of the abyss. Yeah, we'll do 20% damage. Okay, yep, so we'll just go ahead and through this. So normally what I would recommend in PvE is you bring Barbara in instead of Zhongling. But Zhongling guarantees that you're going to hit the Fischl overload pretty much constantly outside of your ults. Also, you got this bad boy. You'll notice that I'm not even near some of these enemies, and they are getting overloaded to hell. Oh, well, I messed that up. That man's dead, but none of his friends are. So the thing that a lot of people seem to be misunderstanding is you can't run these fights like a one-character bus driver. You can't drive the bus. You have to be able to swap characters. You have to be able to get your elements in order. Like, there's a lot of little stuff that you have to be able to do. So we're doing okay. The big challenge with Diluc is you have to be able to get elemental pop-offs. I do not have the fire set for his artifacts yet. That's something I haven't actually gotten to at this point. But I will say, very important to have in the long run just because it makes his strengths significantly stronger. Now, the only downside is he does kind of wax and wane a little bit until you get a dupe or two of them, which sort of sucks. I am not 100% sold on the dupe system in this game. Not a huge fan of it, being 100% honest. But the main character is pretty good, too. All right, so we're going to pop back out, and I'll show you the equipment. So There's actually a tip on some of the later spirals that I'll show you, especially I believe they start in level 2. Here we go. So let's take a look at our dude. So I've got the bell on him, so if he takes a hit, I get a 10-second HP shield, which is 20% of his max HP, which right now is 7,000, so he has 7,400, no, it's 20%, so beep beep boop, 1,400-ish damage shield, which isn't bad. It's not the best thing by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't really have any of the better ones. I was using the Blood-Tainted Greatsword for a while. I may actually end up switching back to it. The Debate Club is also pretty good. I think actually I might be swapping to Debate Club, but either of these are also very good. Essentially, you want to make sure that no matter what you are doing with him, you are getting his damage out there. So, like, I cleared... I'll just show you. I cleared up through Spiral Abyss 3 just to get the Zhangling copy. But I have not, done too many challenges in these because I don't have my guys leveled up. Generally, you want to get in here with like level 45 to 50, if not slightly higher. But it's not the worst thing possible. You can usually, like, I did a lot of these at like the 35 range. So we'll do Diluc, Official, Twin, and Barbara for this one, for example. I'll show you. Barbara has the storybook that boosts damage after you swap off of her. So whoever you swap to gets her damage boost, which is really powerful. So we'll do Official for Oz, Barbara, and then swap into, there we go, damage boost. And it's a little easier for enemies that have, like, perma elements. And don't forget to, like, use your little abilities over and over. Like, Oz isn't as necessary here, but you still get the overload. But you can always switch out to Barbara, use the water shield, and then you get electrocharged and overloaded almost simultaneously. Not doing much for electricity here. I forgot specifically which one we were on, but you can rotate Barbara pretty often. There we go. Get the wet on them. If you haven't noticed, the high-end secret to a lot of this game is, can you do your elemental combos? So as long as you're mostly cognizant of how to put those together and how they work, you honestly should be fine. Like, there aren't too many maps where you're going to have an issue. And this only really matters in, like, boss fights and spirals. Like, most of the high-end dungeons you're going to run into are pretty standard. Oh, man. Easy peasy. Especially for the mages, if you need like an elemental weakness or something of that sort, it's just easier to just rotate through most of them. It's not optimal all the time, but sometimes you just have to put a shield down. So just to give you, like, generally my layouts, I don't have the best artifacts. I've got some good gear. For example, if you do have Barbara, where's my girl? Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers is pretty good. So when you switch, all of their attack is increased for 24% for 10 seconds. It's a huge thing. I will be upgrading that probably quite a bit. I now have 3 copies of it. So for Official, I don't have her 5 stars, but I don't like Rust very much. Being able to recharge the elemental particles, says I think once you start upgrading it, you can get it down to about 8 seconds. But you can regenerate 6 energy for her every 10 seconds. I don't really think you're ever really worried about her specifically, because she recharges pretty quickly on her own, especially if you're rotating Oz in and out the right ways. I don't think it matters much for him. The prototype Rancor is fine. You're not really going to be using the Twin or the Traveler for a lot of auto attacks. You're usually proccing Swirl with him. And since you do get his freebies, like, upgrade him every chance you get. Like, fully upgraded, this guy's actually on par, if not a little better than Venti. And you get him for free. So, like, give him a try. Practice with him. So you'll notice that was pretty simple. So Diluc is a monstrous damage dealer. You can deal with most monsters that aren't flame. If they are flame, you may have to play around with your chains a little bit to sort of get around. Like, if they are a flame slime, for example, you have to throw Barbara in to make them wet to get the fire off of them. And then when you reapply it, it boosts your damage, and then it makes them immune again. So you have to be cognizant of your changes in elements. But for the most part, like, Diluc's our boy. Like, I know the other mage is pretty good, and supposedly in 1.1 we are getting some new characters that were in the extra betas. I did not play them, so I do not have any first-hand knowledge of them. So I'm not really going to be able to give you guys much insight on things I don't have. I can get, info from Tana or from Tech or somebody that, may have all of these characters, Bork or Tachi or somebody. I only have what I got, which unfortunately is not too many. But I do have some fan favorites in here, so I would be more than happy to give you guys little showcases. I will probably be running them through the Abyss just to sort of show you, like, how they work in a vacuum. PvE changes a lot of things, mostly because you're not as worried about your elemental procs in PvP or in PvE, mostly because your damage is better. In Dungeons and Trials, it's a little different. Yes, it still counts as PvE, but I'm trying to separate world PvE from, like, targeted specific PvE. Also, the dude's got a bird, which is pretty sweet. So that is your beginner's Diluc primer, just giving you some ideas. You have a free character that works really, really well with him. Zhongling works very, very well with him. Barbara, if you get through Adventure Rank 20, I believe they give her to you for free. And while fire and water aren't always the best combination, sometimes it does let you get through some of the pesky things. So if you have Diluc, give me some feedback. How are you liking him? Are you not liking the Great Sword? Like, now that you know that you can dash out of all of his moves and his elemental attack can combo through it, Later on, if you get enough dupes of him, you can actually do that every move, which is insane. But obviously a 5-star dupe 6 times is unreasonable. So he is still pretty good, even with no dupes. So what do you think about him? Are you liking him? Those of you that don't have him, who'd you get?